In the world of Dragon Ball, the power of the Saiyans has influenced the entire franchise. And with new transformations, unlimited potential, and the ability to quickly learn new abilities, the Saiyans have truly worked their way up the totem pole of power. But how do hybrid Saiyans compare to full-blooded Saiyans? Well, Chuck will be joining us to break down this theory video today. And the 6 characters that will be the subject of our test will be Gohan, Trunks, and Goten from Universe 7 as compared to Caulifla, Kale, and Cabba from Universe 6. And when we dissect these 6 characters, Chuck, what is the first factor that you look forward to in making the comparison of the two groups?
Okay, so the main one would have to be the biology of these characters, because we do know that, according to Cabba, the Universe 6 Saiyans lost their tails a long time ago. It is like basically a relic, and this implies that the Universe 7 Saiyans are, I guess, more primitive in that sense, because they didn't have, the whole no-tail trait until they started breeding with Earthlings. It is actually stated in the Daizenshu that once a Saiyan mixes with an Earthling, then it basically causes their nature to, be more relaxed. They're not as, battle hungry as a full-blooded Saiyan would be. This actually gives them more innate potential as well. As stated by Toriyama in a recent interview, it was stated that to become a Super Saiyan, a Saiyan needs to have a certain amount of S cells, and although some have a lot, some have less, generally they were able to master Super Saiyan as well. It is also stated in the Daizenshu that Goten did unlock Mastered Super Saiyan or Grade 4, which took Goku, a while to actually get to.
And ultimately, if you were to conclude which group would have the ultimate edge between the Universe 7 hybrid specifically versus the full-blooded Universe 6 Saiyans, who would you give the edge to?
Now, with the Universe 6 Saiyans, with Kale, for example, she doesn't seem to have really good key fundamentals, because at the start of the series, or actually the tournament itself, she was struggling to even battle, much less fire a ki blast. Like, she literally has to put her both arms into it and put a lot of effort to just fire one blast, while to a lot of characters it's really casual. And with Caulifla, she's really no martial artist. It is stated by Whis that she's more of a brawler. With Cabba, he actually does know how to fight. He actually, he's been in the army or the Space Force, whatever they call it. While the Universe 7 Saiyans do have better elementals and structure to their battle style and their key composition, which is something that the Universe 6 Saiyans, at least some of them, don't really have. Just going by how Gohan was able to get this much more powerful in such a short amount of time, really does lead me to believe that half-breeds are generally more powerful. And if Goten and Trunks ever get back into the game, essentially, they might actually rival, if not even surpass, these Universe 6 Saiyans that have fundamentally less, training and, key fundamentals than the other ones.
And when you also factor in that Cabba, Kale, and Caulifla have so much potential that they learn Super Saiyan so quickly, if Gohan grew up in an environment such as theirs, who knows what Gohan, Trunks, or Goten could potentially do. So I could definitely understand, based on the character composition and based on the biology, why they might have an advantage in terms of genetics. But when we move on to our next subject here, Chuck, we gotta talk about nature versus nurture. And the best way to bring this up would be to take alternate timeline variants of the characters we have and compare them to the Universe 6 Saiyan. And when you factor in that both future Gohan and future Trunks have significantly lower power growth as compared to present Gohan and present Trunks, that is basically due to the actual nature of their environment. And most importantly, from a psychological and mental point of view, these characters have a lot more stress and depression and anxiety on their mind as compared to the more free-minded individuals of Universe 7 in the present timeline. And if you were to compare these characters to the Universe 6 Saiyans, Chuck, how would you compare them and what evidence would you have?
So as stated by Toriyama in the same interview where he talks about the SLs, he says that the Earth had a really peaceful environment, which is why Goten and Trunks were able to obtain Super Saiyan and essentially have a lot better gains in their training. And this actually correlates a lot to real life training, because if you're not in a positive mindset, you're not going to see as much growth, and you're also not going to see your potential be unveiled to what it really could be. With future Trunks and future Gohan, there was so much pressure on them because they're the only heroes that can really do anything because everyone's dead. while with Goten and Trunks in the present timeline, I mean, you got Piccolo, you got Gohan, you got Vegeta, you got a lot of people that can, take that mantle.
Especially, man, and I think, in addition to the training like you mentioned, Chuck, you also have to factor in nutrition, and I think people really take that out. But remember, Saiyans have a huge appetite, and in addition to this, if their nutrition is hindered because of the environment that they live in, we can conclude that the Universe 6 Saiyans obviously have an edge in this category, and that also applies to the hybrids when we look at future Gohan and future Trunks. And last but not least, guys, the number one factor to compare both groups would have to be plot convenience. And what exactly do we mean by plot convenience? Well, simply put, because the Universe 6 Saiyans came into Dragon Ball history so late, the only way they could be competitive throughout the Tournament of Power would be if they easily gave both Caulifla, Cabba, and Kale plot convenience powers so that they can pose somewhat of a threat. What do you say?
It's just really weird that Goku and Vegeta, like, they had to train a lot, they had to die, they had to gain Zenkais, they had to train with gods and angels to get to where they are. And then conveniently, these guys don't have God Ki, they don't have as much combat experience, and they somehow are able to compare to these God Ki level characters. While with the Universe 7 Saiyans, in the case of future Gohan and future Trunks, the plot convenience was, okay, you guys have to die, or you guys have to struggle with the androids because, I mean, it has to be the next big threat. So I'm not denying that these guys have a lot of potential to grow, and, innately they did show much better things than Goten and Trunks did, at least, in the current time. But when you talk about Gohan, as I said, he was extremely rusty, and although, yeah, plot convenience, it just shows that he has, a lot of innate strength within him, and he was able to, match up with Super Saiyan Blue level characters in such a short amount of time with just training with Piccolo. But generally, I do believe that, yes, plot convenience is a thing, but then again, you really can't deny that these characters all have really high amounts of potential, which basically gives you the main idea that they are not to be underestimated.
Right, and I think, Chuck, an example that even supports your point even more would be if we look at future Trunks, because look at this, man. Look at the fact that he was able to unlock Super Saiyan Rage and he was only able to fight at a Super Saiyan 2 level, and compare him to how he was at the end of the future Trunks Goku Black Zamasu arc, where he's literally protecting Goku and Vegeta from this super powerful merged Zamasu. And as a result of that, you can argue that in terms of short-term strength, the Universe 6 Saiyans would have an edge, but in terms of long-term development, the Universe 7 hybrids would definitely have the advantage. To that you say, what about future Trunks?
So with Gohan and future Trunks, like, yeah, plot convenience that they might have gone to a certain level, but they already have a lot of evidence to prove that they can get to that certain level with a lot of training or through, moments where they have a lot of stress. And the Universe 6 Saiyans, we didn't get much development from them because they were just introduced, but they had to be that level because, as you said, they had to. Like, otherwise they would have gotten bodied in the first, 2 minutes of the tournament. Yeah, so this generally comes down to who has more, I guess, reasoning to be that powerful, and I would say that Trunks and Gohan generally have more things to back them up, and Universe 6 Saiyans just really are just there to be there,
So ultimately, Chuck, when it comes to the area of plot convenience, who would you give the edge to?
Generally, Kefla showcased that a fusion between these two is incredibly powerful, able to easily rival, if not surpass, some of the Gods of Destruction, and obviously able to push Goku into unleashing Ultra Instinct a second time. And with Gotenks, they were able to basically mollywop Super Buu for a good amount of time as Super Saiyan 3.
As kids.
As kids, yeah. And Goku was even like, wow, it took me years just to get to that level, even though he was training in the afterlife where, your energy basically depletes much less. It's also stated in El Manga Legendario that if Gotenks or Gohan would have been there in the Kai planet, that they could have easily defeated Kid Buu. So basically it goes to show that, these hybrids with their fusions can easily, just compete with these incredibly powerful opponents.
So for this category, the Universe 6 Saiyans win. So overall, Chuck, when we look at our categories, we can see that the Universe 6 Saiyans won 2 out of the 3 categories, But who would you say overall had a greater amount of potential between the Universe 7 hybrids and the Universe 6 full-blooded Saiyans?
I do believe that overall the Universe 7 hybrids actually have this one because, yeah, Caulifla and Kale did unlock their forms, like, early on, but it was more so driven by plot convenience instead of just raw potential, which, with Goten and Trunks, I mean, it was showcased even before they fought against Buu that these guys are already on a much higher level than Gohan was or Goku was at their age. While with the Universe 6 Saiyans, like, yeah, we have information about why they might be that powerful, but it is more so driven by the story rather than, oh, these characters are actually really, prodigies, right?
Long story short, Chuck, everybody's a prodigy.
Yeah.
And if you enjoyed this video, check out What If Goku trained Kale and Caulifla in Universe 6 to see how powerful they would become and how their characters would change. In addition, you're also going to want to check out the Future Trunks amusement theory and why Goten and Trunks never age in Dragon Ball Super. And until next time, stay cool and stay safe, my friends.